Alrighty, welcome back, boys, girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Alameda International High School. And in this video, working with some pyramids on that exit ticket. Make sure you can find the surface area and volume of each pyramid. And so again, make sure you kind of trace the base, redraw that base for yourself, so that way you can find the area of the base and the perimeter. So I'm going to say, since each of these side lengths are 8, it's going to be a square base pyramid, and so I can say my area of the base, big B, is going to be 8 times 8, which is just 64, and the perimeter of the base, add up all the sides, is going to be 32. Then we can say, all right, well, I need to find the slant height of this pyramid, so that way I can get that surface area. So what I can do is this: I can kind of draw my right triangle, because notice how it makes a perpendicular point to the middle of the base. I'm going to say the height of that triangle, or the height of this pyramid, is going to be one of the legs. So I'm going to say the leg is going to be 10. And make sure you notice too, since it goes directly in the center, I have to take half of this side length of the base. So I'm going to say this leg is going to be 4. Then my hypotenuse for this right triangle is going to be also my slant height. So make sure you can find your slant height first. So I take Pythagorean theorem. We're going to have 10 squared plus 4 squared is going to be equal to L squared. Make sure you calculate carefully. So I have 100 plus 16 equals L squared, and then I'm going to say take the square root of 116 to get my slant height L. So I take square root of 116, and so I'm going to say my slant height for this is going to be 10.77. Make sure you're saying, okay, I have my area of the base, perimeter of the base, my height H is going to be 10, and I have my slant height is going to be 10.77. So now I can use our wonderful formulas for surface area first. So I can say surface area is going to be the slant height L times the perimeter of the base P divided by 2 plus the area of the base, which is big B. So I'm going to say surface area is going to be equal to, let's have 10.77 times perimeter base, which is 32, all divided by 2, and I'm going to add in that 64 for the area of the base. Again, make sure you can use that technology for yourself. So I'm going to say in my calculator 10.77 times 32 divided by 2, and make sure you include that 64 because we need to add it to the rest of it. So I'm going to say my surface area for this is going to be 236.32. I'm going to have my units as centimeters squared, since we're talking about that area. Make sure also you have that volume. Volume's a little bit easier, since we're going to say volume is going to be equal to the area of the base, big B, times the height divided by 3. So again, I can plug in my values for my variables. So I'm going to have 64 times 10, all divided by 3. So I have 64 times 10 divided by 3. And so I'm going to say my volume is going to be 213.3. I'm going to say centimeters cubed. So you can make sure you're seeing the difference between those two answers. The units is that key part. So we're going to say our square units, or units to the second power, is going to be for surface area. However, for volume, our cubic units, or units to the third power, is going to be for volume. Similar idea for numero dos. We have trace the base, redraw the base. So I'm going to say I have my square base, since 5 is each of those side lengths. And I can say the area of the base is going to be 5 squared, which is 25, and the perimeter of the base, P, is going to be 20. Make sure you can also find that slant height L. So I'm going to say similar setup. Our vertical height is perpendicular to that base, so I'm going to say, all right, my side length, or my leg, is going to be 5. That's talking about that vertical height in the center. However, this bottom part has to be 2.5, since we're talking about half of that base length. And then we're going to say our slant height is going to be L, which is going to be our hypotenuse. So I'm going to say I have 5 squared plus 2.5, squared equals L squared. Again, make sure you can use that technology for yourself. I can type all of that under that square root. So notice how it has that cursor blinking right there. So I can type 5 squared plus, and then 2.5 squared. Hit equals, and so notice how I know that my answer has to be larger than 5 since it's the longest side of that right triangle. So I'm going to say my slant height L is going to be 5.59. We have our area of the base, perimeter of the base, our height is going to be 5, and we have our slant height as 5.59. Make sure you can have those formulas for yourself. So surface area is going to be slant height times perimeter of the base divided by 2. I'm going to have plus the area of the base. And so I'm going to say that's going to be equal to, let's do this. I have slant height, which is that 5.59. I have my perimeter of the base, which is 20, all divided by 2 plus 25. Make sure you can use your calculator or your card carefully. So I have 5.59 times 20 divided by 2 plus that 25. And so we're going to say our surface area for this pyramid is going to be 80.9, and we're going to say centimeters squared since we're talking about a surface area. And then secondly, I can find my volume real simple. Area of the base times the height times, or divided by 3. Plug in those values. So I have 25 times 5 divided by 3. So 25 times 5 divided by 3. And so I'm going to say my volume for this pyramid is going to be 41.6 repeating, and I can say centimeters cubed. So again, make sure you have the third power for volume, and you have units the second power for surface area. And then the last one on the back, a little bit trickier, but I can work it right through. So if you notice, when I go to trace the base and redraw the base, I'm going to have a rectangular base, not a square base, because I have those two different side lengths of 7 and 8. We can still find the area of the base, which is our big B, and I just multiply those side lengths together, so I can say 7 times 8 is going to be 56. Make sure that you can say, since I have two different base lengths, that means I'm going to have two different slant heights. So you're going to say, let me mark that on the side, 2 slant heights. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. So we said our vertical height, H, is going to be 6. However, that means that we have to draw two different right triangles. So I'm going to have two different right triangles. Again, our height is 6, and I can say, okay, let's take half of the one is going to be 8. And so we'll have slant height L, let's say L1 is going to be here. And then I can say, let's draw it over here for the next one. I can have my slant height L2 is going to be my second slant height. Make sure you take half of the other base length. So we're going to say this is going to be 3.5. And so when I go to do this, I need to say, all right, I have 6 squared plus 8 squared is going to be that first slant height squared. And so I can use my technology to find that. So I have 6 squared plus 8 squared. Let's make sure we have 6 squared plus 8 squared. So we're going to say, that's a mistake. There we go. So make sure you take half of that. I knew it seemed a little bit off. So we're going to say we have 4. So we took half of that side length of 8 and should be 4. So it should be 4 squared. Okay, so I can just change that. There we go. So I'm going to say my slant height L, let's say L1 is going to be about 7.21. Okay, then we can find our second slant height by using that same idea. So I'm going to have 6 squared plus 3.5 squared is going to be L2 squared. So I'm looking for my second slant height. So I say, all right, still the same vertical height. So I have 6 squared plus, however, different base. So let's do plus 3.5 squared. Make sure it's all under that square root, and so I'm going to say L2 is going to be 6.95. Make sure also too, since I have those two slant heights, what I can do is I can kind of draw the net or the large picture of that pyramid. And the way you can think about it is kind of like peeling a banana. It's going to still be that same picture, except it's kind of spread out. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to say that this height of this triangle right here and right here are going to be L1. So that's going to be that 7.21 for each of those heights. And I can say, okay, let's label that as X, and I'll label this as Y. So then my other slant height is going to be the height of this triangle and this triangle, which is going to be, let's say, L2, which is that 6.95. So make sure you're seeing how this is going to work. I'm going to find the area of these two triangles X, and I'm going to find the area of these two triangles Y, and I'm going to add those together plus our area of the base, which we said was 56. So I'm going to say, all right, let's have our triangle. Let's have our triangle X. We said our slant height was 7.21. Our base, meaning our side length here, is going to be 8. Again, make sure you can find the area of this triangle. So I'm going to say, let's do area of X is going to be the height times the base divided by 2. So I have 7.21 times 8, all divided by 2. So I'm going to say 7.21 times 8 divided by 2. So I'm going to say my area of one of these triangles X is going to be 28.84. Make sure then you can find your other triangle. So I'm going to say my other triangle, perfectly drawn, is going to be Y. I have my height of that triangle is going to be that 6.95. The base, again, has to be a different base, so we're going to say it's going to be 7. Go to find the area of this triangle, so I'm going to say area of Y is going to be that 6.95 times 7 divided by 2. So again, simple area of a triangle formula. So I have 6.95 times 7 divided by 2. And so I'm going to say this is going to be about 24.325. So make sure you're seeing how this is going to work. I have 2 of these triangles X, I have 2 of these triangles Y, and I have the area of the base, which is 56. So I'm going to say my surface area for this triangle, or yeah, for this pyramid is going to be 2 times this 28.84 plus, let's do plus 2 times the 24.325, and we're going to say add in that base, which is 56. So again, make sure you can multiply that carefully. Again, use your technology for yourself. So I have 2 times this amount. You use those arrow keys to scroll up. I have 2 times, let's do 2 times this amount, and plus 56. And so we're going to say our surface area for this entire pyramid is going to be 162.33, and then we're going to say centimeters squared. So again, notice kind of how I set this up. Since we didn't have that square base, couldn't really use the normal formula. So what I could do is I found the slant height for each of these sides, and I said that these 2 triangles are the same, these 2 triangles are the same, and I found the area of each of those, add them all together. Then lastly, a lot easier, we have the volume. Still can use that formula because we have those labels. So I'm going to say area of the base, which is 56, times the height, which is 6, all divided by 3 to get our surface area. So I have 56 times 6 divided by 3, and so we're going to say our volume for this pyramid is going to be 112 centimeters cubed. So again, make sure, take that step by step, kind of break it apart for yourself, add them all together to get your entire surface area, and then find the volume using the same setup. Be sure to ask questions, and as always, super slam that subscribe button.